Yeah, you're not going to stop me. I'm going to do my show today. Stop, universe, from. Yeah, you're not going to
Oh, I
stop
need
me.
to
I'm going to do my
mute
show
that too.
today. Stop. Oh, goodness. Just keeps the hits keep on coming. I'm going to keep it on. I don't know what else I can do besides keep trying to get out there and get my voice out there so I can interact with you guys. Yeah. Good morning. This is live from the Hive, July 16th, attempt number 2. Uh, Hello, Regios. Brian Stevens is here. Jaded Atheist, who I am glad to hear is getting their feet on the ground down there in the Southwest, and I wish you all the luck in your new venture in your new home with your spouse and your kids. It's amazing that you were able to. I know that there was some stuff going on back where you came from, so I'm glad you got to get away from that and kind of get things back together. We all got stuff going on. It seems like I guess this is what year 3 of the COVID generation or whatever, and it's been hard. It's been rough. There's Math Pig, and do not forget that I will be there later this evening, hanging out with my friend Robbie and have a little panel, a little chat. So that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and Jason, uh, yeah, it's the OBS. I should have made Robbie produce for me. He has all my screens and stuff anyway. Robbie has always helped me along the way. So he would have done it if I would have asked. I thought I was good on the way things were going, and it turned out that this computer on this internet running OBS with my OBS, my screens and my stuff is very intricate as anybody can tell you. I put a lot into my channel art. So we uh, weren't able to do that. And I tried to do it this morning, and I wasn't able to do that. I can still do the format, but I won't have the backgrounds and stuff, all the fun stuff that I work on. I love my cryptic corner background. That's the one that makes me sad that I can't use it. But needless to say, uh, we are we are up and running, just using good old StreamYard free. I'm not paying for it because I have my OBS. I don't need it, but I'm going to use it today because I can. But I am still going to go through my segments and everything. So hang in there. We are running an hour late because I tried to do my stream for 20 minutes. As Jason can attest, it did not go well. So, but the universe just keeps trying to kick me, and I'm just going to keep getting back up because what the heck else can I do? What else can I do at this point? I just keep getting back up, and you guys get to see me. I usually do live from the Hive with like some kind of tint filter that softens my features a bit, but you guys get to see me without that. So this is with just me and my makeup. So there's that. um, but it seems to be working now. Yeah, this is a completely different route. What's it say? What are you saying, Brian Stevens? Hey man, make one point about L points and get swamped by misconceptions. I need to have a Bud do a video on them. I'm not sure what that conversation is going on there. But good morning. Good morning, D. Or Deep. I guess I should. Do you want me to call you Deep? I just want to call you D. My mom's name's D, whose office I'm in right now. Her name's D as well. So, uh, lots of D's in my life. It seems. So, yeah, tonight, Math Pig's channel. we're just having a panel, having fun. It should be. Math Pig, are you a Catholic atheist or a Protestant atheist? Because Math Pig lives in Northern Ireland, where you have to either be one or the other. You can't just be like, oh, I'm non-denominational. Nope, you don't get that. And you have to. Well, you had to register when you were when you register for school and things like that. Do you have to do that when you register to vote too? Oh, what's going on the launch pad? Oh, okay, yeah. Well, um, hopefully I'm not missing anything too cool on that. There are a few things I wanted to talk about. It's happened scientifically too later on in the stream, but okay. Be safe driving, Robbie. So yeah, we have again. I was wanting to do sharks this month, but do sharks for my science segments anyway, and I'm not going to get to because I don't have the bandwidth here to do that. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I could do segments on sharks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I actually do have something on sharks today, but I haven't been able to for the last weeks. I guess is what I'm saying. I will be talking about sharks definitely coming up. So, without further pontificating, because we're already running late, I'm going to dive right into. Let's do cryptic corner. Sorry. Oh, don't want to do that. We're going to do. Stop sharing. Just real quick. I just want to do this a little bit differently. Okay. So separate that. That one down. Put this one back up. And now let's share screen. That will make things a little bit. Now it's going to share you guys, but we're going to go down to here. Okay, so rare 17th century book on alien life discovered. And this was pretty cool. This slipped past me back in May. I didn't catch this, but I'll always jump on aliens when I see them because that's really where Cryptic Corner started, was with aliens. So I know it did lean more heavily into cryptozoology, but aliens have always been a cornerstone. And to find a book like this, written in the 17th century, 1698, that's wild to think that they were exploring the ideas of extraterrestrial life all the way back then. Let's read what it has to say. This is in unexplainedmysteries.com. And we'll check out the source too, because it's got some better images. But I'm going to read what this has to say first. All right. Published in 1698, the book offers a unique look into how people from the time perceived the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Discovered by book valuer Jim Spencer at an antique valuation event in, say this word for me, Gloucester. Is that right? I don't know. England. I'm going to say it like an American, call it Gloucester or something like that, and make everybody mad. The book was by Christian Huygens and explores the possible existence of extraterrestrial entities while. Where was I? So I lost my place. Just a second. Extraterrestrial entities while posing the question of why God would have created other planets solely for us to look at. Yeah, I lost the screen, not my place in this little paragraph. But yeah, anyway. Good morning, Cadence. Gloucester. Yeah. So many letters for something that can be written with Gloucester. Yes. Uh, the its title, "The Celestial World Discovered," or "Conjecture Concerning the Inhabitants, Plants, and Products of the World in the Planets," is certainly a mouthful. Many of the ideas and conclusion Huggins reached or reaches in the book seem a bit strange by today's standards. However, they are consistent with the science of the time. He speculated or speculates. I keep wanting to put this in past tense, but that's because it's from 1698. He speculated, should be. He speculated that intelligent aliens must have hands like ours due to their convenience, and that they must also have human like feet unless they have developed the ability to fly. He also suggested that these beings are likely to pursue many of the same sports and interests that we do, such as astronomy, sailing, and listening to music, but that they are also likely to be afflicted with poverty, war, and other misfortunes because it is what promotes invention and progress. The book, which is to be sold at auction, is expected to fetch up to $4,000. It's fascinating to think who turned these pages in 1698, what they must have felt when reading these descriptions of life on Jupiter or Saturn before gazing up at the night sky, like said Spencer. Yeah, it's a pretty wild concept to think that because they didn't have any idea of what like an ancient biosphere would be like, right? They didn't they didn't have any preconception that there would be different gravitational forces, that there would be different solar radiation levels, that there would be different soil compositions, that there would be different gas compositions of the atmosphere, different, of course, air pressure levels, along with the gravity fluctuations during orbit in these different levels, and in the composition and where they lie in the biosphere. And I say biosphere loosely because I don't think that any of the planets that they're talking about had actual life on them at that time. I mean, if you think that Jupiter or Saturn had life on it in 1698, that's really cool, and I'd like to hear about it. But I don't think that looking now of what we know about the planets that they did, but they didn't know that back then. They didn't know that these heavenly bodies had all these variations and other compositional issues for supporting life that would make life necessitate a very different biology in order to survive in environments like Jupiter has incredible gravity. Something that lives on Jupiter would need to be very rigid. The most of our organisms that are able to stand upright do so with calcium-based structures, because calcium is easy for us to absorb into our body, and then for our body to convert into things like bones and teeth and such. So uh, Jupiter would need a much more you'd need a much more rigid skeleton than I don't think we ever would have stopped what the trilobites were doing. I don't think anything. I think things like a trilobite would be more probable than something with hands and feet or anything that flies on Jupiter. Something that sits really low to the ground, has a really dense structure to its exoskeleton is what I would anticipate. Something on Jupiter would have due to the crushing pressures. Also, gas exchange is going to be an issue. There's going to have to be some sort of innovation in the way that the organisms breathed and things like that, that we haven't had here on Earth. There's been a lot of different structures for absorbing gas from the environment to use in keeping your biology functioning. We got spiracles, which are on the abdomen of arthropods, so completely separate from like their mouths and things. So that's an advantage that they have over us that they don't have worry about continuing their gas exchange while they're consuming food. uh, so even on Earth, there's some variety of ways in order to absorb gas from the environment to keep things pumping. And I'm not saying that that can't exist on Jupiter, or that, hell, I wouldn't even say that I wouldn't go as far as to say that that's never existed on Jupiter. We haven't been able to do much fossil digs on Jupiter. I don't suspect it, but I wouldn't reject it whole cloth to think that there were that other planets in our solar system also were able to support life in some way, shape, or form. We have obviously what we call the Goldilocks zones around stars. Based on whatever kind of star it is, that zone's going to be bigger or smaller. But the planets that fall into that zone here on Earth aren't always the ones that have been in that zone in the past. Our solar system is billions of years old and uh, has expanded as it grew. As it came to its current resting place is not, and we can even call where it's at now a resting place, because eventually it's gonna. The sun's probably going to expand out and consume at least the inner planets way before before everything drifts away. But I think that some of the maybe Neptune could escape uh, the the expanding sun. Now I'm on a tangent. Sorry, everybody. Let me get back to the book because this is just what they knew about science back in those days, and they thought about religion and creation and such. Because as you can see, yeah, why would God have created other planets? You know, it's the presupposition that that the Christian God exists. Uh, let's have a look at the book itself. Rare book predicting alien life discovered in Cotswold. It gives us basically the same little blurb here. It's almost comical. The book's lengthy title. Okay, yeah, here's Celestial Worlds. I don't know, I would have just called it Celestial Worlds. That kind of works for me. And that they must have hands and feet. And what we could invent or imagine that could be so exactly accommodating to all the designs used, hands and feet, shall we give them an elephant's proboscis? I think we should. I think we should definitely give them an elephant's proboscis. Let's do that. And can they get like jellyfish feeding tentacles too, or maybe like a cephalopod? Yeah, there's lots of ideas we can go with other than human-like hands to manipulate their environment. Spiders, for instance, just they manipulate their environment masterfully with the tips of their little legs. With just 8 legs, they are much better hand-eye coordination than a human could hope for, and much faster about it too. You ever watched a spider wrap up a fly? You know what I'm talking about. They don't mess around with that. They boom, 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 boom. So there are multiple ways besides human hands that we could predict that aliens would have, or an alien organism would have, to manipulate its environment. He also suggests that celestial beings must have feet. We went over that, unless they can fly. Some planets, maybe, that they could. We have a density, I think, lower than what we have here on Earth, or not density, a gravitational force. But you can't just say gravitational force is going to be the only factor, because of the composition of the atmosphere. It's also going to come into play, because you're going to have the heavier elements in the atmosphere down low. If you could have really light gravity, but if you have a really dense gas in the lower levels of your atmosphere, that's still going to cause issues for trying to fly and move around. Hey, show me Sasquatch. Good to see ya. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, it has maps. We're gonna get down to this stuff. Don't worry. I'm trying to string it along a little bit. The writer believes aliens enjoyed astronomy and observation, sailed boats, and listened to music, but also suffered misfortunes of war, affliction, poverty. Yeah, we saw that. There's a good, it's pretty good depiction of Saturn and Jupiter, all things considered, about when this was written. That they were able to give us those. It's only 162 very tiny pages. Could probably read it in an hour or so. Yeah, Cadence is all over this. I'm glad this is something we can nerd about together, Cadence. The book is considered such a rare find that it will have a guide price of 2,000 to 3,000 pounds when it goes on auction, which is the $4,000 that was mentioned earlier. Mr. Spencer said it's fascinating to think who turned. We already read that. This is, I'm impressed actually with this diagram for being from 1698. The They even have, let's see, we have Saturnus, Julius Luna. So are we looking at the moons of Saturn too? I don't know how many moons they knew about of Saturn in 1698, but that they appeared in this book is wonderful. The book attempts to describe how intelligent alien life on other planets might look like, especially on Jupiter and Saturn. Which is funny because it was Venus and Mars that became the main focus of alien life later on, after Enlightenment, after the Age of Enlightenment. They really started. First, it was Venus. Venus had a lot of fiction, and then, of course, The Martian took over later, especially in like the late Victorian era. Think of like Orson Welles and uh, War of the Worlds. Also, Jules Verne, ideas like that, where the idea of Martian life became kind of the focus, because at that time the Goldilocks zone situation was not necessarily understood as well as it is today. Because there has to be liquid. Well, for the life that for life as we know it, it needs liquid water. So, but that's not to say that that's always the case. Just from what we understand about how life can exist, that we may discover new things about it. The book valuer said, flicking through the pages gives a curious feel. I wouldn't flick through these pages. I would be very gentle. Gave us curious feel due to the subject matter belonging to the future or science fiction, yet the writer is speaking to us from the past. I found myself realizing that we've since explored not only more of space, but more of our own planet. He said the author ruled out the possibility of much larger animals than those currently existing on Earth because it was written before humans knew about dinosaurs. I think the subject matter is compelling because it makes us chuckle at what we didn't know while staring up at the heavens and realizing it's still a mystery, Mr. Spencer said. The book was listed for sale on the 5th of July in Hanson Library auction in Bishton Hall in Staffordshire. Yeah, so that's this pretty wild book. Pretty wild book that they've discovered. And that's our cryptic corner talking about the celestial world, a book describing what alien life might have looked like. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this segment of Cryptic Corner. If you have any thoughts on this book or any other subjects that you'd like to suggest that we cover in Cryptic Corner, you definitely feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you're tuning in on Friday night, thank you for stopping by. Remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, so now it is time for us to move on. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a minute just to pop out here and see what kind of updates we have regarding space. Okay, there we go. Well, it's only a matter of time before Elon crowdfunds an orbiter elevator that's actually just a regular rocket with colored exhaust or something. Hey, Sandy, good to see you. Greetings, Spooky. Yeah, the chances of anything coming from Mars was 1,000,000 to 1, they say. But still, they came. You wish you could make a replica? Yeah. All right. So, moving forward from here, uh, I'm just going to give a content warning. I am moving into Creation Watch, and today's Creation Watch is not for the faint of heart. It's going to we're going to deal with some gender stuff, and there. I haven't watched the whole thing. I'm probably going to hop around, but for the most part, it was just this one clip that I wanted to bring up because I'm just have a great weekend. Show me Sasquatch. Just something that it popped into my feed today, and it reminded me. I meant to cover it during Pride Month, but was not able to. So I am sorry to anybody who doesn't want to hear about this, but these issues are becoming more and more important to me, and I'm going to cover them. This is where the thumbnail came from, because apparently we're all creepy closet monsters. Okay, so let me know if you can't hear anything. This is just a short little 39-second clip.
Do you know what they are admitting when they say they're coming out of a closet? What's a closet? You know, when I was a kid, I used to be afraid of monsters coming out of the closet. When they say, I'm coming out of the closet, you know what they're admitting? That they're coming out of a very dark place.
Okay, so there's a full video to this that I will not go through the whole thing, but I wanted to address what he just said here. Okay. All right, so coming out of a closet is coming out of a dark place. No shit. No, man. Obviously. But it's not, we're not the monsters in the closet. The monsters are the people who put us in the closet for decades and decades. Treated us like we were pariahs of society, that we should not be able to show our true selves in the light of day for fear of ridicule, that we had to hide in our closets like Anne Frank hiding from the Nazis. This is not a situation where we're monsters lurking in your closet. I also wanted to reference the wolf drag queen reference. This is something that came up in a conversation I had with my friend Jenny the other day about drag queens. So drag queens are not part of the LGBTQ. They are not. Generally they're not. There are some percentage of them that are homosexual, but for the most part, drag queens are part of cis het culture. They are part of a entertainment and segment. They are not representative of the trans community. And to conflate the two of them and to say the drag shows are what the trans community looks like and what we do, that the drag queen story time stuff, which, whatever about, that's again part of cishet culture, and that's not a representation of the trans community, and that's not our trans outreach program. That's not something that trans women, especially, I know, because trans men don't exist to this culture, but trans women we're just all drag queens, or we're conflated with drag queens, which is completely ridiculous. I'm just like a regular woman. I'm not a dancing around up on stage singing or doing cabaret or anything like that. Just regular. We're mostly just regular women living our lives. I have other regular women just living our lives up here. Amy Newman does do some dancing around, though. You can't watch Skeptic ranting without seeing Amy doing a little bit of dancing. And I guess I dance too, but like regular people dancing, not drag queen drag show dancing. That's not our, that's not the trans lifestyle at all. And I'm so sick of people just saying like, oh yeah, you're all, drag queens or something, especially people like Matt Powell. So yeah, that is pretty freaking ridiculous that he would use that example at the end. It's a scare tactic, but they're not just conflating. Matt Powell is not just conflating the trans community as drag queens. He's conflating the whole entire LGBTQ community as a toxic environment full of this kind of behavior. It gets quite ridiculous. I do want to pop in to see the he couldn't even, this video was I don't think it was past the YouTube algorithm, is why it had to be moved over here. We're not going to watch the whole 46 minutes of it, but he does say some stuff here at the beginning that we'll see how far we can get into it before I shut it down.
Hey guys, this is Matt Powell and the team here at Dinosaur Adventureland, coming to you today with a different topic than what we would normally cover. Normally we talk about things like creation versus evolution, the dinosaurs, the fossil record, and so on and so forth, and why young Earth creationism is true. But today, with it being the supposed Pride Month, and with all of these queers going about on the streets and holding up their gay pride flags, I feel compelled.
Woo! Queer representation. You never hear anybody point out the Q. I would consider myself part of the Q section of LGBTQ, the queer community, for most of my adult life. A lot of it in the closet, but I'm still kind of queer because I don't fit all the typical gender roles of either gender, because I still like to do things that are traditionally considered boy stuff. I don't think that they should be, like playing with bugs and stuff. I don't think that should be considered a boy thing. Regardless, anyway, I'm just glad to see some queer shout out from Matt Powell. So I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to have a positive outlook on that. And yes, we're out there waving our flags around. Finally, after decades of being shoved in those closets that you were talking about a second ago, we can come out into the light of day and be ourselves and have society accept us for who we are. Have our mothers and fathers not reject us from our homes. We have moved to the point where we can do that. We are there. So yeah, we're like waving our flags. Good.
Held as a preacher and as somebody who believes the Bible to actually tell people and warn people about what this crowd really is all about.
He's going to tell us what we're all about, guys. So stick around. I hope my queer community, my LGBTQ community, is sticking around for this, because Matt Powell, if you don't know what you're all about, he's going to tell us.
So the title of my message today is the case against the LGBT, the case against the LGBT. The Bible says, prove all things, hold fast to that which is good.
He's going to make a case against us. I wonder, is this a case? Is he going to file this and not going to appeal to like courts? That'd be interesting to see. Hey, Slim, good to see ya. Good to see ya. And happy that people are still popping in. Anyway, let's continue.
Good. Like I said earlier, today and this whole month is a month that is celebrated by the United States of America, and it's known as Pride Month. And people are going about in the streets holding up their queer pride signs, right? And their flag.
It's funny because you think that we're all just proud of ourselves. Well, I think a lot of us are proud of our country and our society too. We're proud of you guys for finally, saying, "Hey, I accept these people. I accept these people in my community." We're proud of our cities where we have legislation passed to protect and support us, where we have medical bills passed to help us go through whatever transitional needs that we have as a trans person going through the medical stuff right now. Thank you. I am proud of our society for making those steps forward. I'm deeply saddened by some of the steps we've made backwards, especially those that we've made recently.
Flags. But here's the thing. Anderson Cooper recently came out. He said, he came out as a homosexual, and he says, "I couldn't be any more happy, comfortable with myself, and proud." Do you know what the definition of pride is? Pride, a feeling that you are more important or better than other people.
This is, oh goodness, let's do it. We're going to definition check you there, Matt, because you're just using the one that you don't like, because there's a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. Yeah, because a city can be proud of their. I bet you're proud of your church, Matt. I bet you're proud of your church and the success you have with your church, whatever success level that is. I bet you're proud of it. I'm proud of my kids and their achievements. I'm proud of my country for certain things. I am proud of our progress forward for LGBT community in general. Over the last 20 years, we've made a huge leap forward. I know that again, things recently are kind of bleak, but if you look at how we were treated in the 90s, in the 80s, even in the early 2000s, we've made a lot of progress. So I'm proud of that. There are more definitions. Conscious of one's own dignity. Be especially proud. Oh, that's okay. So let's see, because I don't want to just use one dictionary. I'm going to go to Merriam-Webster's. That's the this old standby. The quality or state of being proud. Okay. Inordinate self-esteem, a reasonable or justifiable self-respect, delight or elation arising from some act, possession, or relationship. So you're jumping right on to like a biblical definition. There's a lot more that can be considered pride these days. And words do change and develop as we move along. Shall we continue?
So what if I got up on the street and I said, "I'm better than other people"? Do you know what people would do? They'd say, "You're a hate monger." That's hate.
You are a hate monger, Matt, not for saying you're better than everybody, but I bet you do think you're better than everybody. At least as a Christian, you think you have the full truth. I shouldn't say as a Christian, because not all Christians are like you, Matt. Not all Christians think that the government should execute us as criminals. Not all Christians think that the earth is 6,000 years old and that humans live with dinosaurs and all this nonsense, that evolution, biological evolution, which is demonstrable, is not real. All these ideas that you have are not typical of Christians. But I bet you think, because you have those ideas, that you're smarter than everybody else. You do think you're smarter than everybody else. I hear the way you talk. You think you're smarter than the people who research this stuff. You got a lot of pride, man. You got a lot of pride.
Hateful. That's mean. You know what? When they go around holding up gay pride signs,
Mm-hmm.
what they're saying is, I'm better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better than your kids. I'm better than your family.
No, they're not. They're saying, I'm proud that the society has accepted me for who I am. I'm proud to be who I truly am, and I'm proud of you for accepting me. I'm proud of my city. Generally, pride events are put on by cities or city park districts usually. At least in Missouri they are. In Illinois, I think they're put on by the city. But regardless of who's putting it on, they're proud of there's the support that they're finding. There's a lot of things that we're proud of for Pride Month.
The Bible says that we should esteem others higher than ourselves, and that we ought not think higher of ourselves than we ought. The Bible says that if a man think of himself to be something, he is nothing. Look, pride and arrogancy is a wicked thing. We should not be proud. The Bible says that we should be humble and have a humble attitude.
Humility is a good thing, a good characteristic to have too. You do need the humility to say when you're wrong about something. Like, like say you spent your entire adult life telling people that the earth was only 6,000 years old and you were wrong about it. And there was evidence that you were wrong about it. You think you have the humility to humble yourself and say you're wrong, but arrogancy and pride get in the way, I guess. Arrogancy, those are bad traits, Matt. We need to work on that.
Look at this. The Bible says in Proverbs 8:13, the fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. So there are certain things that we should hate, those things being sins, pride, arrogancy, and the evil way.
I'm more in favor of getting rid of hate than of getting rid of pride. I'm sorry. Those when it comes to human traits or personality traits or issues with human personality traits, I think that hate is head and shoulders above pride as a problem in our society. And hate is what you're all about.
Now, who has ever heard of this coming out of the closet day? I hear about it every single year. October 11th is coming out of the closet day. Do you know what they are admitting when they say they're coming out of a closet? What's a closet?
We just talked about
when I was a kid, I used to be afraid of monsters coming out of the closet. People, that they're disgusting, and that their acts that they do are disgusting.
Oh,
look at this. Homosexuality is indeed...
What's disgusting? Do you think that only homosexual people are doing these acts? Oh my gosh, Matt. You're in for some surprises when you find out that the depraved acts that you think that we are committing are also being done every night to the great enjoyment of cis het couples across the world, around the world, are doing these depraved acts that you find so disgusting. Orders of magnitude more straight cis het couples are engaging in these these private acts in the privacy of their own abodes. Right now, probably. Right now while I'm talking, there's people out there doing the, I'm sure what you're going to refer to as sodomy and things like that. Doing it right now. Thousands of people. So in comparison to the LGBTQ community, it's just silly.
Indeed, a large risk factor for sexual abuse of children. Now check this out. Did you know that 40% of pedophilia that happens from open homosexuals? Wait a minute. Open homosexuals only make up 1 to 2% of the entire world population.
If 2% of the population is responsible for 20% to 40% of something, or so pedophilia is man, I really didn't want to have to talk about this on my channel. I'm afraid that's going to so that act, the people who have that compulsion and attraction, they don't really differentiate the gender or the sex of the child that they're engaging with. But if it's a male child, then they're going to be homosexual. So this is basically saying that in most acts of pedophilia, it's basically saying that they're doing a homosexual act while they're doing it, so that 20% of them are against men doing it to boys. That's the percentage of male victims. 20% of the victims are male. You don't understand the statistic, Matt. That just indicates that 20% of the victims were males, and that the attackers. I'm sure that in these situations, like 98% of the culprits are male, and this indicates that 20% of the victims were male. I don't understand how you can't grasp that this is not a statistic against the LGBTQ community. It's just saying that it's a statistic of what portion of the victims are male.
That means that the LGBT, this group of people, they are 20 times more likely to molest your child than a regular heterosexual.
No, it doesn't. You don't understand the statistic. The statistic is just saying that 20% of the victims of pedophilia are male. That's all, because that would mean that the act of pedophilia was also a homosexual act. Why are you this way? Why? You don't understand numbers? I know the air is different in space, man. The air is different.
Than a regular person. They are pedophiles. Statistically, it is a fact within statistics. And think about this. If a man would have a...
No, not statistically. I'm going to move away from this topic because I'm afraid to get pulled with the things he's saying. I'm just going to move forward. I think that what I was wanting to focus on is about the 10-minute mark. Let's see.
This night, bring them out unto us that we may know them.
Yeah, okay, here we are.
And Lot went out.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Used with, okay? And they... Notice these words here. I want you to pay very close attention to these words. When God rained down hellfire and brimstone on these people that were sodomites, queers. Notice what it says here. It says, there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed his face toward the ground. And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. But
do biblical angels have feet? Are they like a starfish with wings or eyes all over them? I don't know. I guess it depends on which book of the Bible you're looking at, because it's so inconsistent.
Before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about. Now notice these words here. I want you to pay very close attention to these words. They compassed the house round about, both old and young. That tells me that these queers brought little children to...
Wait a minute. You think young means children? You're just conflating that young means children. Matt Powell is really tall, from what I understand. The Raging Atheist is also tall, and he said that Matt Powell's a little bit taller than him. Raging Atheist is 6'4", so Matt's pretty tall. So I can't imagine that the dude weighs less than 215, maybe at the minimum.
Molest these two angels that came into the city, to molest these two men.
They brought children to molest men, is what Matt thinks this means. I think it means that there were old people and there were young people there, and they wanted to get in on these eyeball-colored starfish that just wandered into town that had feet, that grew feet to get their feet washed by Lot.
Because they themselves were getting molested. So they're they're acting out on what they've been abused with, okay? And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly.
And he's like, hey, take my daughters instead. What a creep. So there's this ravenous gang of rapists outside that want to get it on with the starfish winged people, the angels, the eyeballs with wheels within wheels, these crazy creatures that apparently are so lusted after that they laid with mortal women and made the Nephilim, and now these men want to get it on with them. But Lot's about to offer up his daughters to be assaulted by this gang. Yeah. So but he's the hero of the story, right?
So Lot calls these guys brethren. Look, you shouldn't be going out to the LGBT and saying, you're my brothers, because they're not, okay? They're a wicked organization. Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So Lot is
saying, I'd rather you all assault my daughters than to assault these strange. He was calling them men. They're supposed to be angels. Angels don't look like men, as far as the Bible is concerned. From what I've read of the books of the Bible, and also like Enoch and things like that, the angels do not look like men. Regardless, he's like, yeah, I'd rather protect these creatures than my own daughters, because daughters, they're not worth anything in this society, in this Canaanite society. They are just marginally above slaves.
He's telling them, hey, you know what? I have 2 virgin daughters. Why don't you just, be inappropriate with them instead? But you know what? It wasn't good enough for these queers. Look at what they said. They said, stand back. And they said,
why you're conflating that these are queers? Are the angels? The angels aren't exactly. Again, they're not humans. So, is it anybody who was attracted to a not human creature would be a queer in your eyes? I don't know. Yeah, it was fun hanging out with you for a bit there, Sal. Good to see you and Peter working through some things. This is some gross stuff that Matt Powell's going over. So I hope you have a strong stomach, Sal, because I'm going to play it.
Again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them. So they try to actually break down the door of Lot's house to be able to rape the 2 angels that came into Lot's house. They wanted to rape.
Oh, he's going to keep hammering that word.
These 2 men. But look at what they said. What it says here: we will deal worse with thee than with them. So if somebody comes to you and they want to, so you can see some photos here, kind of like a reenactment of what this would have looked like. You've got these guys, old and young, little boys. You don't see them in the pictures, but the Bible records it. Surrounding.
The Bible did not say that. You made that up, Matt. It said young and old. Do you think that anybody who's considered young is a child? I consider myself young up until maybe 5 years ago. I consider you young. Are you a child? You're making things up to spread your hate. This is not a real thing that's written in the Bible. This is a thing that's written in your mind that you were forced into. I don't know, by your superiors, by your elders, by your parents, to have this idea that we, members of the LGBTQ, are these monsters that are depicted in Sodom and Gomorrah. We are not the people of Sodom. We are a community all our own.
Being the house and wanting to rape 2 other men.
All right, that's enough. I'm not going to listen to you keep dropping that bomb. Let's see. Do you ever get into
them out of here? Because we don't want any more molestation. To me, to Matt,
there was the.
We don't want any more disease spreading. I'm tired.
There was the story time thing that he's talking about, but
of it, I hear about it all the time. But they say we're born this way. No, you're not. CIA did research. FBI did research. PBS did research. They all came back and said it's not natural. We don't know why people are queers.
The research is not done by these organizations. The research is done by doctors over decades, and it's biological. We We are what we are. You want to think it's an aberration? That's fine. If you haven't had your chromosomes checked, Matt, you could be intersex and not even know it. You could be not fully a man and not know it. Have you had your chromosomes checked, Matt? Because right now we just assume that you are biologically male because you tell us that you are and you present yourself to us as you are. But we haven't checked your chromosomes. I don't even know what you're packing down there, Matt. So maybe give a little charity to people, a little charity to our community that we're dealing with things that maybe you don't understand, and I can't expect you to understand. And I can't make you go and look into this stuff, but there's science behind this. There's biology behind this. There's again, I was with Cindy Plaza last night talking about endocrinology or neuroendocrinology. There's facets of your brain and the way they produce hormones that are going to make people different across a variety of spectrums. Sometimes our brain activity doesn't even match up with any of our physiological features. That's why you get people like me. But other factors come into play too. Sexual attraction comes into play there. There is things in the brain. You want to conflate us with rapists and pedophilia and things like that. Those statistics don't pan out for you. Those statistics don't make the members of our community look any more any worse than this has had. It's just a portion of the population that has a condition where whatever, but they're not a significant portion of LGBTQ. You're misunderstanding the way that data works and making an inference about it. Taking the statistic that 20% of cases of pedophilia are committed against males, just to say that means that 20% of the LGBTQ community are predatory is ridiculous. You don't understand how numbers work, my dude. All right, I'm done with Matt Powell. I can't have him dropping more of this. It's the language he's using, unfortunately, that I have to get away from. I am going to cover. We're gonna have a palate cleanser, no worries. Let's see here. I'm going to close this out. And that's what we're talking about. Pride. Here we go. Here's the fun stuff that Bree wants to talk about for the sharks today. This is from Live Science. Talking about megalodon. Megalodon's like one of my favorites. So, what was megalodon's favorite snack? Sperm whale face. Ruthless megalodon snacked on a whale's fat-rich nose, fossil skull shows. This illustration, in this illustration, can I make it bigger? I don't know, is that very big on the screen? Can you all see that? Yeah, okay. I was worried it was going to be too small, but it looks good. Okay. In this illustration, giant sharks scavenge the enormous corpse of a leviathan, an extinct, enormous sperm whale that lived around 12 million years ago. So yes, was it Megaphaster melvini? It's Leviathan melvini. Anyway, was this huge sperm whale that lived about the same time that Megalodon's dead. Yeah, about 23 million years ago in the Miocene, which was earlier in the Cenozoic era, about 30 million years after the dinosaurs died. Fauna looked a lot more familiar in the Miocene, but was kind of toeing this line where there was still some experimentation going on with with what was going to survive, and the oceans were quite warm, so we had a lot of different morphologies for cetacins, for whales and dolphins, uh, because the ocean now they're all large-bodied and well insulated because the oceans are so much colder now than they were back then. But warm oceans allowed them to be more streamlined, and we actually had macro predatory whales, including the Leviathan. The main feature that differentiates Leviathan from modern sperm whales, other than its size and some other more subtle differences, was that it had teeth on both its bottom jaw and upper jaw. Modern sperm whales only have the teeth on the bottom jaw, and they feed mostly on soft-bodied organisms like squid. Sometimes sharks are carpet sharks and things are carpet sharks, sleeper sharks and things like that, but mostly soft-bodied organisms like squid and octopi. Leviathan was not so much the case. It was a predator of other warm-blooded creatures, other whales. It used its vicious jaws, much like an orca does in modern times, but on a much, much larger scale. And it was the king of the sea during its era, or was it? Because another monstrous organism also cruised those depths with the megalodon shark. And normally I would have done this as my animal versus animal segment, but again, don't have my screen, so we're just going to go with what we have here. Okay. If the giant extinct shark megalodon had to pick a favorite meal, its winner would likely be sperm whale by the nose. In fact, sperm whale noses were a popular snack not only for megalodon, but also for other ancient sharks that preyed on sperm whales, according to new analysis of fossil whale skulls. When scientists in Peru peered at a series of skulls belonging to extinct whales that lived during the late part of the Miocene epoch, 23 million to 5.3 million years ago, they found numerous bite marks left behind by multiple shark species, including the massive megalodon, Ototus megalodon, and sharks that are still around today, such as great white sharks, Carcharodon carcharis, and mako sharks, Isurus. Eek. In some cases, a number of shark species had fed on the skull of a single whale in a series of consecutive scavenging events that left the skull scarred by more than a dozen bites. What's more, the location of the bite marks told the scientists that the sharks were targeting the whale's forehead and nose, likely so the predatory fish could feast on the fatty organ's generous store of nutritious blubber and oil. And the spermaceti is what's up there in the nose on the sperm whale, that big bulb in the front. It's all full of this waxy material called spermaceti that actually helps with buoyancy as they dive down and it cools. It solidifies, so it helps them with their deep diving. Sperm whales are the deepest diving mammal that exists. They go all the way down, further than any other mammal. Sperm whales are the biggest. Close that. That's annoying. Sperm whales are the biggest toothed predators alive today. They are known for their bulky heads, and much of the space inside is taken up by an enlarged nasal organ that the whale uses for sound production. The scientists reported in June 29th in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B, Biological Sciences, two structures in the nasal network, the melon and the spermaceti, are rich in oil and fat. In bite marks in the Miocene whale skulls corresponded with the position of these structures in modern sperm whales, the scientists discovered. Many sharks were using these sperm whales as a fat repository, said lead study author Aldo Benitez It might be Benitez, though. Since his other last name is Hispanic, it might be Aldo Benitez Palomino. Anyway, a doctoral candidate in at the Paleontological Museum of the University of Zurich in Switzerland. In a single specimen, I think that we have at least 5 or 6 species of shark all biting the same region, which is insane. He's a life science. This is the skull they're talking about here. I think I can pull that up. Oh, they just looped me. Oh, there we go. So you see, here's the skull. You got different marks shown here and here from different sharks. Different marks for different sharks, but they're all hammering away on the head, right? That's the, come on. How do I make it? Oh, it's just, okay. Anyhow, 3 species of sperm whale swim the ocean today. The great sperm whale, Physeter macrocephalus, the pygmy sperm whale, Kogia briviceps, and the dwarf sperm whale, Kogia sima. But around 7 million years ago, there were at least 7 sperm whale species, ranging from small fry species in the Kogia and Scaphokogia genre that were no more than 13 feet long, to enormous creatures such as Leviathan, which measured up to 60 feet long. And trailing after those Miocene sperm whales were plenty of ravenous shark species, just waiting for the opportunity to eat a whale's face. For the study, the scientists analyzed sperm whale skulls in their collection of the Natural History Museum in Lima. The skulls had been collected from Pisco Formation in southern Peru and dated from about 7 million years ago. During the Miocene, this coastal desert region was a hotspot for marine biodiversity, the researchers reported. The team discovered patterns of bite marks in 6 skulls. Some had just a few bite marks, while others displayed up to 18 perforation clusters around the whale's face. It was clear to us that something was happening. Sharks were somehow predating on these animals and trying to feed on their noses, Benitez Palomino said. Variations in size and shape of the bite marks suggest that multiple shark species were lining up to take a bite. So I want to say that most of this is probably scavenging, but we'll see if they get into that. Large bite marks with a little bit of serration were typical megalodon, while deep slices that looked like they were made with a sharp knife could be either a mako or sand shark, he explained. And then if you have something in the middle, a little shallower, and the serration is irregular, these are most likely caused by members of the white shark lineage. Modern sharks are known for eating many things, including songbirds, sea turtles, and even humpback whale carcasses, but not sperm whales, according to the study. This raises questions about what may have driven these voracious predators to shift their diet away from their once favorite meal, sperm whales' delicious nose. You start to imagine how this changed, why it changed. Was there some implication in the environment, Benitez Palomino said? More than actually answering questions, I think this is making me have more inquiries around all of these discoveries. Yeah, that's bizarre that we don't see it in modern sharks, because the sperm whales still have the spermaceti in their face. They're still they still got their big nose that allows them to dive, like I was saying, and echolocate, like the author there had said. So why are not sharks not consuming that? I don't know. That's a mystery, and we'll probably find out more as things move along. But I thought it was an interesting discovery nonetheless, and wanted to share it with you guys. I'm going to pop back out here to the comments and see what people have been saying while I was going over this, because I didn't have it pulled up, so I do apologize for that. I'm not used to working with one screen, so it becomes a little difficult. Let's see here. Hello, Big Zebra. Good to see you. I'm amused with something sperm in the name goes all the way down. Oh, Cadence. Let's see here. Was there any questions about this? Trouble in Paradise. And I do apologize if anybody was offended by the Matt Powell stuff. He's garbage, but we can't let him hide in the closet either. We got to pull him out into the sun and expose him too. Sharks are also known for enjoying role-playing games. Interesting. Sharks have a that weird electrosensory organ, yes, in their along their snoot. Especially hammerhead sharks, they got a whole ribbon of it. You know what else does? Snakes and sharks. We're really missed out on that. That's mammals. Well, we do have members of even of the Rhizothere, which we are part of, that have sensory organs that pick up electrical pulses. Whiskers and Carnivora, and whispers and ungulates as well. They do pick up electricity in the environment. They are electroreceptive to some extent. And I shouldn't say that we don't have any of that. We do. It's vestigial at best. The hairs on your body can pick up a little bit of electrical impulses as well. If I'm offended by Matt's existence, that's no one's fault. Yeah, he's just a garbage person. And I think that we need to keep pointing the light at him until he freaking crawls back under. Well, like I said, I don't want to put him back in the closet. We'll keep dragging him back out and exposing him. I don't want this guy to have a voice to attack us without being responded to. I don't want him to be able to make these claims about our community without somebody from our community responding and saying what you have presented is nonsense and BS, and your audience should see that, and you should be ashamed of the lies that you're promoting. Anyhow, the shark's electroreceptive abilities are amazingly advanced compared to most other organisms that exist. The electroreception, the only thing I can think of that's on par with it, especially when it comes to mammals, are maybe the platypus with its bill. But yeah, sharks are on a whole nother level. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out the stream. About an hour and 15 minutes. A little short, but with what I'm working with, I expected that my shows were going to be a bit shorter. Matt Walsh is also trash and doesn't understand science. Doesn't understand even the fields of science that gender studies go under. Matt Walsh is so far behind. Right, yeah, the electrical perception of sharks is beyond a lot of what we can do scientifically these days. Sally, you are absolutely right. All right, I'm going to wrap up now. Please remember to be kind, to take care, and I will see you later on Math Pigs, I hope. See you on Math Pigs if you're going to come there and hang out. I will be there talking nerdy stuff too. And if not, if you just want to hang out with me, I'll probably be doing a stream sometime this evening or sometime in the evening this week, but I'll definitely be back next Saturday morning for more Live from the Hive. Much love, peace, and respect. Again, be kind, take care, farewell.